Paul, you've got the personality, you're going to nail this, you're going to earn loads of money, it's going to be so much fun. And I thought, this is me, I'm all over this. This is great. I love telling people I'm doing this. But deep down, actually, the job was horrible. I'm here for me, and it's okay to be selfish. But as long as you're considerate, all the time we're sitting on our phones, we're watching other people's lives, and we're trying to compete with that. So there's two sides to this. So the negative side is...
Hi, Paul. Welcome to the show today. Let's kick off just by learning a bit about you. Give me some context to your background and your life. What do I need to know about Paul McCleery?
Sure, absolutely. Well, firstly, thanks for having me on. Obviously, we know each other, so this makes life a bit easier. But so I'm Paul, and I'm 51, and I feel like I've lived a long and fruitful life, but only since probably about the age of maybe 25. Going right back, I left school. Wasn't really sure what to do. Careers advice when you're at secondary school, finishing in the 90s, wasn't the best, if I'm honest. And so I had to find my own feet. And I remember my dad, who's sadly no longer with us, saying to me, forget about education, forget about university. The only way you're going to earn in life or learn in life is to earn in life. And go out and get a job. I was like, great, that's really good advice. But where do I start? And I remember going to London, and I thought, I want to work in London. My mum worked in London at the time, in the sort of business travel industry. So I remember walking around London with a CV and just spent hours and hours of just trying to get a job. And then eventually a job came up, and that progressed into a career of like 20 years within sort of banking and corporate travel and stuff like that. But it wasn't a reward. It wasn't one of those jobs where I was getting home at night going, this is amazing. I'm really glad I'm earning all this money from these people and blah, blah, blah. So the game of life felt very much like a nil-nil sort of school for most of that time. And then fast forward, quite a period of time. I met my wife in 1998, 1997, 98, something like that. So we've been together a long time. But I, at that point, realised that there was just more to life, and it was, you have to learn something about yourself. So I started to push the boundaries a little bit and apply for some jobs that I thought probably a little bit above my sort of ability, if you like. And I was very fortunate, and getting a job, back in the mid 2000s, I guess, mid 90s into 2000s was a bit easier. So I found myself working for Goldman Sachs, working on the trading floor in quite a high pressured, high powered environment. And I thought, this is me. I'm all over this. This is great. I love telling people I'm doing this. But deep down, actually, the job was horrible. And it required me getting up at ridiculous times in the morning, standing on the station platform in the rain with everybody else who also looked quite grey and a bit drawn and a bit not really enjoying life. This isn't for them. And then 9/11 happened, and we were obviously an American bank, and so things changed very, very quickly for that. And so I had the opportunity to take redundancy, and I left banking about late 2001, 2002. Forgive me, I don't have all the dates in front of me.
Yeah.
I haven't had a CV for years. But so I was like, what do I do now? So I then got into like sales, IT recruitment, and somebody basically sold the dream to me. Like, Paul, you've got the personality, you're going to nail this, you're going to earn loads of money, it's going to be so much fun. Oh God, no, it wasn't. It was 2 years of just brutality, if I'm honest. The option was there to earn lots of money, and it was good for networking and so on and so forth. So I did that for a bit, and then after that, I actually got into allied health professional recruitment, which was occupational therapists, physiotherapists, social workers, and so on and so forth. And the reason I did that was, at that time, both of my parents became ill. They both died of cancer around the time that I got married. So me and my wife got married in 2008, and that was a life changer for me. And that's when I thought, life can't carry on being a nil-nil score for me. We're here. It's so cliched, I hate saying it. We are literally here for a very short time. Most of us have an average life expectancy, and if you look at it in years, that is a massive time, but it goes very, very quickly. And what is living? We didn't choose to be here. We were created. We arrived on the planet. And so, what is life? What is our purpose? And for some people that ask me that, I'm like, well, we don't have a purpose. We're here because we're here, and we have to get enjoyment out of that. And enjoyment comes through ambition. Ambition comes through reward and so on and so forth. And I've always said, what is reward? Well, for me, reward is achievement and achievement is reward. So I started to then focus on what can I really do? I've had a career in London. I've worked in a bank. I've done all these amazing things. And at the time I was like probably a little bit overweight, maybe 14 and a half stone, which for some people isn't overweight, but for some others it is. And I found running. So I started running, started going to the gym fairly regularly, and thought I'd raise some money for St Michael's Hospice. So in 2007, 2008, after Mum passed away, I thought I'll run the Hastings Half Marathon. 6 weeks training, I'll be fine. So I ran the Hastings Half Marathon, and I ran it in a fairly respectable time, like less than 2 hours. And I thought, wow, it was really good. What can I do if I actually train next year and do it properly? So that started the sort of journey, if you like, of being fitter. And the more I was training and learning about fitness and really studying nutrition and what to eat for diet and how to basically sort of self-care, I was really fascinated. But it's the first thing I've ever come across. I'm actually genuinely really fascinated by this. And having lost mum and dad to cancer, and having known a lot of people that were living not very healthy lifestyles, I thought, well, I can make a difference here. This is the first opportunity I've got to actually make a difference. So I did a course, did a COIQ in personal training 15, 16 years ago, and everyone's going crazy. You're not going to make this work. So I'd given up the recruitment job, and I'd now moved into media sales locally, which was flexible working, which gave me the time. So I basically word of mouth started speaking to some friends. They said, well, my wife might want to train with you. And actually, that's really worked. Well, actually, my friend wants to train with you. And it started to grow like that. It was quite organic. And so, so I started PTing and really enjoying it. And it became busier and busier and busier to the point where I could quit my media sales job and focus on this full time. So I was doing 2 clients in the morning, working all day, client in the evening, and just doing all the hours under the sun. Because someone said to me, the first 3 years of business is the first year it bleeds you, the second year it needs you, and the third year it feeds you. And I've always remembered that. And we're all quite impatient. I think if you endeavor or embark on any kind of ambition in life, if you fail at the first knockback, then you don't have the resilience, and you don't really have the personality and the commitment to achieve. And I see many people try things and it fails. So I wanted to make this work. So that's what I did. And overnight, it just became a success. And I loved what I did. People were coming to me and obviously really enjoying it too. I started up some classes. But again, I was very fortunate because back in 2008, there wasn't many PTs going. And it was a bit of a golden opportunity. The tree was full of fruit, and I wanted to do it. So I started to PT more people and so on and so forth. And then I got into the ultra running. And again, me going, well, I've run a half marathon. I've never run a marathon. Let's run a marathon. So I entered the BGA marathon. Loved that. It was my first ever marathon. Brutal. So I did that. So then I did it the next year, the next year, the next year. And then, I started hearing about ultra marathon distance. And everyone was like, what's ultra marathon? I'm like, well, apparently it's anything over 26 miles. So let me find a race. So I decided to enter the South Downs 100-mile race, because there's no point in doing anything by halves. Set your sights right up there, because you can come down for it. But if you only ever go a little bit at a time, you might not ever get to the top, right? So 15 years on, here I am, having done 15, 16 years of self-employed PT, and enjoying lots of long ultra marathons. I've done all sorts of crazy stuff, triathlon. But about 3, 4, 5 years ago, after COVID, I'm putting it down to the vaccine, but anybody listening, don't take that as me being an anti-vaxxer and all the rest of it. But there were some changes in my physical sort of build-up, if you like, and I was having hip problems and back problems and hamstring problems, and so I had to stop running, and it really hurt, as in like mentally really hurt. And I was really struggling with a lot of things. And if I'm brutally honest, the PT, I think, was running as its course could do. And I had to start to weigh up sort of what are my options now. Like I'm this person that goes out and finds stuff and achieves, and it's all about self-care. I had a very difficult childhood with lots of stuff going on. And so what am I going to do? So at the time I was actually volunteering down at Hastings Lifeboat Station, and beginning part of this year, an opportunity came up to apply for the full-time coxswain role, which for some of you that don't really know, it's the person that's basically in command of the boat when it's at sea. And some stations have that person as a full-time employed person. And so I thought, well, that's quite above my position. Again, it's that bit of ambition in there. Well, let's see what happens. And my wife said, "What are you going to do with the PT?" I said, "Well, I don't know. Let's just see what happens here." So I applied for the role, and amazingly got the position. Here I am now, 4 months in. So it's a new challenge. It's a new breath of fresh air, if you want to use it. And so a lot of my PT sort of drifted away, and I think some of those people that have been with me for 10, 12, 14 years needed a bit of change themselves. And my PT sessions went from PT to actually life coaching to all sorts of, deep and meaningful conversations about life and this kind of thing, just talking about this sort of thing. So that's where I am today, really. I'm 51. I've got, another 14 years, hopefully, to go to retirement, which just sounds scary, but it's a real wake-up of life of, what is life? What's the purpose? What's ambition? What do we do? How do we do that? So for me, it's about finding something out about myself, because when I was at school, I was actually quite shy, a little bit sort of, introvert, didn't really want to speak to people. And here I am doing amazing things. And I've met many people through social media that look at me in a positive way. And I've got a few that probably look at me in a negative way, because some people, I don't know whether it's not, maybe not jealousy, but I think people see somebody who's achieving so much and doing so much, and, oh, look, he's putting all over Facebook and whatever, blah, blah, blah. And that hurts a little bit. But then equally, I'm doing it for me. I'm not doing it for them. And what I get from it is that I've learned about myself. So I'm sharing that with other people and hope that somebody else might be in my position and sit there and read or see some images of what I've done and go, well, that's pretty incredible. And look, this guy's just gone and done that. So why don't I have a go? So that's kind of where I'm at. That's me.
Yeah, I mean, I love that bit in the middle where you said about finding sort of fitness, started running, then turned it into a job helping other people. Because I sometimes think, you have your passion and your purpose, and your passion is sort of what you do for you, and you found fitness in that. But your purpose is what you do for other people, and you managed to bring fitness into that by helping other people along their journeys. You actually found one thing that was almost passion and purpose in there.
Yeah.
But obviously, after that being a massive part of your identity, there, you mentioned there the last few years, there's been a change there, and you mentioned that it, affected you sort of not just physically, but sort of mentally. And do you think that was it was part of your identity, and then coming to terms that maybe things were changing? Because most of us don't like change.
No. Well, I don't know whether it's that we don't like change. I think we're afraid of change. And the conversation I've had with many, many people, friends as well as family, is that we take something on, be it a job, or we buy a house, or we buy a car, and it's easy because you do it every day, it. And all the time that we know how to do something, it's easy. You haven't got to think about it. You just do it. And that spares your time, that spares your mental capacity to focus on other things, maybe. And lots of us have hobbies outside of work and so on and so forth. And I think for me is so when I've got a challenge in my head, when I've got something I want to achieve, be it getting this job, or at the moment I'm learning loads about this job, be it the fact that I've just finished the stupid challenge of swimming in the sea every day. But I will commit 90% of my mental capacity to that, and 10% of it to everything else in my life. And for some people that probably are listening and watch this, who know me, will go, well, he's really selfish because he's always off doing this and off doing that, and he's never at home with his children, and he doesn't see his wife, and blah blah blah. But I'm here for me, and it's okay to be selfish, but as long as you're considerate. Because if you're not selfish, then you're not self-care. And if you're not self-care, then other people are going to be affected by who you become. And what I was becoming, having done 15, 16 years at PT, and then sort of having succumbed to an injury or whatever it's turning out to be, is that I became quite a dark person in terms of I was frustrated, I was angry, and I'd lost a bit of focus and lost a bit of challenge. So I needed to take some time out for self-care, because my family, my friends, my social circle, my network of people will notice when I'm in a good place and I'm running and I'm chirpy and I've had great days, they'll notice when I've had a couple of days where nothing's happened and my life isn't continuing on the path that I've chosen for it. And that's where this whole self-care thing, it's a constant physical and mental self-care. And I think a lot of us are very bad at that. And it comes to getting up in the morning, and this is hard to do. So don't believe that I do this every day, but I'm learning. Is you get up in the morning and you focus on one thing you have to do that day, and that one thing should be to help somebody else. And I'm talking about you come out your house and you put a smile on your face. You don't go, oh, got to go to work today, or oh, this has got to happen. And on your way to work, you stop and let somebody out of a junction, or you see somebody and you flash an acknowledgement. You come into work, you make somebody a coffee, you ask how somebody is, you reach out to somebody, and everyone listening to this is going to go, oh yeah. How many people do we know that we see or are connected with on social media? We don't actually ever ring up and go, how are you? Do you fancy a coffee? Do you want to meet up? Like, we don't make that effort, do we? We see them on Facebook or Instagram or whatever all day long. And then I was at a wedding at the weekend, bumped into somebody I hadn't seen in ages. We used to be really good friends, hadn't seen this person in ages. I said, why don't we just go out for a curry? She was like, oh, that's an amazing idea. But I think because we've drifted apart, we both just assumed that actually there was nothing to say to each other and we're stuck in our own pathways. But you've got to make that time. You've got to be selfish. You've got to say, I'm going to do that. So by starting your day every day with a small challenge. And do you know there's a video about I think it's a US Army sergeant says about making your bed.
Make your bed. Yeah.
That is so true. It literally is so true. To start the day with something positive that you've achieved. And every day becomes another achievement of something else and reward and ambition gets rolled into that. So I think that was where I was when I had the injury, is that I'd lost myself a little bit and I stopped self-caring, and that was having an effect on me. I believe everything happens for a reason. It sounds cliche again, in every cloud that's a silver lining. But had I have not gone through that, I don't think I'd be sat here today.
No, it's interesting how things sort of work their way around to that. And I mean, you're talking about that self-care, and it is just that, I mean, again, cliched, but put your oxygen mask on first. And quite often people think doing things for yourself, whether you feel other people think it's going to be selfish of you, or you yourself think, oh, I'm being a bit selfish here. I should be doing this. I should be doing that. And because often if we're asked, oh, what would we love to do more of? The classic answer is, spend more time with friends and family, because that's what you expect everyone to hear. But actually, no, maybe spend some time with myself. Yeah. Go out for a walk. Go and do a sport that I really enjoy that I've never done and never found the time for. Because actually doing something for yourself actually means you're in a better place to spend time with others. Actually, if I ask my kids, do you want to spend time with me when I'm grumpy? You can spend 3 hours with me being grumpy, or why don't I go to the gym for an hour and then we have 2 hours of being really good?
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Which one's better?
There's 8 billion people on this planet, and we are never going to meet the exact twin of yourself. You're never going to spend time with somebody who thinks and believes the same thoughts and the same ethics and the same morals as you. So you have to go away and have that time. And I knew we were doing this interview today, podcast interview, whatever you want to call it. And I was out running last night, and I was thinking about all the things you might ask me and all the things that I would probably offer as information to kind of relay some positivity to people, because that's ultimately what it's about. And I'm not going to go down the whole men's mental health. We know it's out there and it is an issue. And I think we all probably have an element of that. And we spend all of our time, this is how I look at it. We spend all of our time marketing ourselves rather than investing in ourselves. So if we were a business, we're out there telling everybody how amazing our lives are. We spoke about it earlier, didn't we? Like, I did this today, and look at this, and this is a positive photo, blah, 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 blah. We're constantly marketing because that's what the world has taught us. The world has taught us that you have to have these things. You have to have these things around you. You have to have a house. You have to have a nice car. You have to have an iPhone 16. You have to have all these things. What we don't do is invest in ourselves. We don't actually stop and go, well, I don't need these things. What I need is for me to wake up every day and be happy. There's a question that I'll ask you, actually. If you had the option of living a long life or living a happy life, what would you choose?
I mean, if it was only one, it'd be happy.
Yeah.
without a doubt. I'd much rather enjoy the time. And you do get that, don't you? We hear older people, yeah. And I've almost joked, yeah, when I get to a certain stage, seriously, just give me a push,
Yeah.
because I want to enjoy my time here.
Yeah. Yeah. And that for me is the truest thing. Having watched both my parents, and they weren't elderly. They were early 70s. But here, being 51, if you said to me, if you were born and you had a date stamp of when you're going to die, how differently would you live your life?
Yeah,
It would change if you said to me now, Paul, you got 19 years left. What would you do differently? I would do so many things differently. And I'm as
yeah.
gullible as anybody else when it comes to marketing. I was doing
But
some
we
stats
do,
when we came on. There's 1.3 billion people in this planet that have an iPhone. Why do we have an iPhone? Because it's marketed, marketed, marketed. It's the best
yeah,
thing. We all believe it's the best thing. It's not the
yeah,
best thing. It's just what everybody has bought. And the reason everyone has bought it is because it gets marketed over and over
yeah,
and over again. So all we do is try and copy what other people are doing because we believe other people are living the best life. And
yeah.
if you said, right, tomorrow there's going to be an embargo, all phones are off for 24 hours. What difference would it make to the world? Like, what are
Mm.
you going to miss?
Yeah, realistically, you don't actually miss that
Anything?
much. I
No.
was amazed. I remember years ago when, and okay, this is slightly pre the technology. Obviously, we had now early 2000, but I spent 6 months at a time living in Greece, and I'd come back and I'd say to my parents, "So what's happened in town, or what's happened over the last 6 months?" And there was literally a couple of bullet points. Oh, this person
Watch.
moved. This, like, I
Yeah.
hadn't really. And remember walking into the pub on a Friday night, having been away for 6 months, and just saw my mates again. Like, how you do? Like nothing had changed,
Yeah.
and
Good.
and that was 6 months.
Yeah. How many hours a day do people waste watching cucumbers scaring cat videos? I mean, we all laugh because we've all
We all
seen it.
do,
But
but it's a funny thing, isn't it? Because we do get entertainment from that. Sometimes it's an escape from something, but perhaps we're not dealing with the real issue. I don't know whether it's the phone that is the issue, or us wanting us to make ourselves feel better.
what it means to me is that we like to be busy doing something, but we're not brave enough, and we don't have enough courage to actually embrace and do something that is kind of like a chore, if that makes sense. So
Mm,
exercise, I say to all my clients, exercise sadly is a chore. We have to do exercise because we're trying to counter the effect of the terrible food and society of Deliveroo and Just Eat. We're all lazy, so we all drink too much, high calorie coffee.
yeah,
We eat too much fast food. We don't exercise, blah, blah, blah. So we now have to exercise. My parents back in the 70s never exercised, but they also didn't eat 20 frappuccinos and God knows what else every day. So when people spend time on their phone, it's a get out. I didn't have a chance to go for a run because I was busy doing stuff on my phone. They're not
Mm,
ever going to say, well, I was busy watching 2 hours of TikTok or whatever it is. So it's an escape, but it's actually it's an excuse for not actually doing something better with your life. And I say to so many people, when did you last go out for a half an hour walk around the woods on the seafront? When did you last go out and actually experience the elements? I mean, today's sunny, but there's a bit of wind out there. There's people down in the sea there. When did you last go out and actually embrace that and actually understand what's going on outside of the walls and your little phone there? And it's an escape, and people are just now creating that habit. And I'm on my children like there's no tomorrow when it comes to phone usage, because I'm like, I mean, they're great. They eat well and they exercise loads and the rest of it, but it's a real issue for me because I didn't have that when I was a child, and I
no,
feel like my parents were with me when I was doing things. But I can only see that society's moving forward in a negative way of we're becoming lazier and lazier and lazier. And I know you love your IT and stuff. I've never used Chat GPT or whatever it is, or AI or any of those things, because I don't need it. I don't need it. It's a convenience thing that I don't need. My life doesn't need that. I'm not that busy that I need that amount of convenience. I had to do a speech at our black tie dinner on Friday, and somebody said, "Oh, have you written it yet?" And I said, "No, I'm going to kind of off the cuff it." And I'm like, "Oh, use Chat GPT." And I'm like, "You're kidding me." Like,
yeah,
I'm 51. You're telling me I can't write my own speech. I have to use AI. I'm like, no,
yeah.
no, no, that's doing. Oh, but it's brilliant because it does this, this, and this. I'm like, but also we don't need to leave our houses anymore because I can do banking. I can book
Mm.
holiday, I will see my doctor. The only things I can't really do from home is fill my car up with petrol. But actually, I've got nowhere to go anymore, so I don't need to. And
No.
but that is sad, isn't it? That
Yeah, we have got that comfort crisis, and actually, whether it's the comfort or, like you say, everything's too easily accessible. And I
yeah,
think that's maybe where you were saying about, your first year business, your second year business, third year. We've become, one, very impatient, and two, very comfortable,
well,
because you said about exercise has become a chore. Yeah, you go back 100 years. Well, people walked 20,000 steps by default anyway.
yeah,
Now we have to make an effort to get 10,000 in, and there's many days when I don't. Because I work from home, and it's comfortable. I've got central heating and a
yeah,
comfy chair, and my
yeah.
trainers have got like air bubbles in them, so it's really comfortable on my feet. We didn't have any of that in the past, so we've made our bodies sort of lazy. The way I'm sitting, my
yeah.
whole body's supported. No
But
wonder
but
my hips are losing strength, because I don't need to support myself.
but do you know how unbalanced current society is? So, 8 billion people on the planet, and we're moaning about iOS 18 has screwed your phone up or whatever it is, or on the delivery of shopping turned up, and they forgot to put the whatever it is, tomatoes in there.
Yeah.
There's 700 million people on this planet suffering with poverty, and 150 million are homeless.
Yeah.
How is that? How can we, in today's society, it's 2024, how can we be so blindsided that we're worried about these problems and the conversation we're having now? It's 150 million people out there homeless, and that's not their fault.
No.
That's how unbalanced society is. The rich get richer, the poor get poorer, and if we sat down and let them, all those homeless people, listen to this podcast, I mean, can you imagine? I mean, it's embarrassing.
Oh, yeah, that some of the things we moan about, I mean, we joke, but we've almost made jokes out of it. And there's memes, first world problems and things like that. And we're almost making fun of the situation rather than actually
Yeah,
doing something about it. From the fact of, we have actually got very comfortable lives. And you can
yeah,
say, people say, check your privilege. And it's like, actually, yeah, I'm incredibly privileged
well,
where I was born. That
yeah.
that was a privilege. The way I've been brought up, the school I went to. I
Well,
didn't choose any of that. That
yeah.
just happened. And
It
now
makes
as
me laugh.
adults, we can make some choices, but a lot of it has been influenced by things that were completely out of my control.
It makes me laugh when I've got a couple of friends and they, you ring them and you go, or you see them and say, hi, how are you? Oh, I've had a bad day. I literally laugh. I'm like, you don't know what a bad day is, pal. Like whatever's happened in your day, it's not bad. And I always say, if you met yourself in the street and you stood there and listened to yourself, would you be disappointed in what you heard, or would you be inspired by what you've heard?
Mm.
And I try and be the person that would inspire myself by not standing there going, "Oh, well, this has happened," and look at the weather, or like this, and of course I do say those things. I say that, so if anyone listens to this, I do say those things. I know it. But not all the time. I don't walk around with the dark cloud over my head. I try and be inspiring to others. That's part of my job for 15 years, and it is now. I'm here to help people. I love helping people. There's no better reward for me than helping people. That's why I volunteered here for 5.5 years before I took a job. But we all need to understand just what it is that's inside that drives us forward. And people say to me, "Oh, yeah, but I'm not competitive, or I don't have that drive." And, well, you do, but you're fearful of the result. You're fearing the failure, if you like, whatever failure looks like for you. And many people come to me and they're afraid to exercise, they're afraid to change their diet, they're afraid to do something different. And I'm suggesting to people the most obvious things, like, okay, so how do you go to bed at night? And they're like, what do you mean? Well, how do you know when it's time to go to bed? And they're like, I watch something on TV, and when it finishes, I go to bed. I'm like, well, what time is that? Well, it's anywhere between like 10:30 and 11 o'clock. Okay, well, how do you wake up? Like, well, I set an alarm. Okay, so do you get a minimum of 8 hours sleep a night? Oh, no. Well, okay. Well, how about 9:30? You set an alarm on your phone to say, TV is rubbish, go to bed.
Yeah.
And people are like, oh, well, but I don't usually go to bed till 10:30. Well, guess what? If you go to bed at 9:30, you guarantee your 8 hours, and you're going to wake up before your alarm feeling a lot fresher and a bit more energy. Nothing happens in the evening after 9 o'clock. ever.
No.
I don't care. I'd have to argue with anybody all day long. You are
There
not
are those
actually
sayings, isn't there? Nothing good. I mean, I think it's a little bit later, but nothing good happens after 11 p.m. Like it's true.
yeah, and that's self care. And one of the things I learned when I was doing the ultra marathons, I listened to hundreds of podcasts from people that were doing running. And one guy said the most underrated thing is sleep.
Yeah.
People try and survive on 5, 6, 7 hours sleep. And they get up in the morning, caffeine down their neck, and then they're all agitated, and they don't look great. And you can tell when you meet somebody who's had a bad night's sleep. It's the worst hangover in the world. And but suggesting that, to say that, set an alarm that tells you when to go to bed. It's the simplest thing. When people are like, "Ooh." And they're like, "Oh, that's a good idea. I'll do it." Everyone's like, "Oh, I'm not sure." Like, what are you not sure about? Like, you don't want to try it because I've told you to try it, or you're afraid that you can't do it. I mean, you've got this fancy iPhone 16 with iOS 18 running. Surely it has alarm
So
clock on it.
sleep tracker, tells you how long. But it is everything I've ever looked up about. Well, not everything, but when I'm looking up about fitness, how to get better at this, almost the number one is getting enough sleep. I was looking at what can I take for recovery? Do I need more protein? Do I get enough sleep?
Right.
It's like what do I need to do to perform better at a race? To extra training, get some sleep. Like it's nearly always relate, because if you're tired, your body's not
Yeah.
not able
Everything
to perform.
everything we do. So when we're born, everything that we do is programmed into us. We learn to walk because we see other people walking. We learn to eat properly because that's what the body naturally does. So we start as a mini computer, just constantly getting updates. iOS 18 all day long. We constantly get updates. So we're very, very much influenced by our parents, by other people. You go to nursery, you get influenced by other children. So we start to get sort of almost a bit diluted. We start to pick up other people's skill sets and attitudes and personality. And then we end up in our adult life. And that's why there are so many people. And I can honestly walk into a room of 20 people and look around the room, and I can almost feel the people that I've got something in common with, that I can get on with. And then there's some people that have got a very different attitude to me. And I think I'm going to probably have a more struggled conversation with that person. But it's understanding that it's okay to be like that. And it's how your attitude changes towards that, and doing exercise, because we're talking about exercise, and just changing what you do. Because if you've been programmed to live a certain life and that's never involved exercise, then you're never likely to undertake exercise. And like going back to the whole chore thing, it's all the things you need to do. It's not necessarily things you want to do. And I divide my life into needs and wants. What do I need to do? And if I need to do it, then I'm going to make it happen. What do I want to do? And that's a very different thing. I want to give up work and go and travel around the world for 2 years with my family. It's never going to happen. It's just never going to happen. Of course it's not. But it's a nice one, and that's a dream. So do the things you need to do. You need to go to bed early. You need to reach out to friends you've not spoken to. You need to self-care in terms of, exercise and eating well and all the things that make you feel better. You can have the wants. You can have your dreams. You can want the latest iPhone, the latest car, the latest whatever it is. But those things don't change your life. They don't enhance your life. They just make you feel a bit more comfortable that you're doing what other people are doing. Some of the biggest businesses in the world, about marketing, your Nikes, your Rolexes, BMW, Volkswagen, Audi, all of those brands. They're not superior brands. They're just more familiar brands.
Yeah.
And if you create some personality traits where your exercising or your diet becomes what everyone is doing, if everyone in your peer groups, your family, are exercising regularly, eating regularly, not putting on weight, not drinking too much, doing everything in moderation, that becomes your brand. That becomes who you are. So you start doing the same thing. But it's getting people to do that. And it's a very, very hard process to get into. But you've got to have a bit of time to yourself every week where you ask yourself, what do I need? And what do I want? And that's where you start. And that's what I try and do with all my clients. That's certainly how I started.
Do you think about your needs? I think in the society we live in, I'm thinking about my needs, and a lot of them are either boring or hard work. Going to bed early. Yeah. It's boring.
Yeah.
Really, I'd much rather stay up, but I would rather stay up, but I know it's good to go. And actually I know I enjoy the gym, but it's also would I be going if I didn't have, I don't know. It's hard work.
Yeah.
Certainly, yesterday when I went, I had a really busy day. So I was there at 6 a.m. I didn't really want to be up at 6 a.m. going to the gym, but it is a need. I need to work out. It makes me feel better. And actually I
So
went to bed.
why do you work out? What's your reason for physical exercise?
So two, one is my mental health. I've never finished a workout and felt worse.
Okay.
And after probably 4 days of not doing anything, I can feel myself getting a little bit twitchy. It switches off my head. When I do, I enjoy doing weights actually, and I still always do some weights, but I try and do something that I find incredibly, it's something like a sled, pushing it along with weights. Yeah, I can't think about anything else. My legs are burning. It's hard work, and I use that to clear my head.
Yeah.
Secondly, I'm doing it so that in 20 years' time, I can still get down on the floor and play with grandkids.
Yeah.
Or something along those lines. Because, again, I'm mid-40s now. Well, I'm going to say early 40s, 44. I'm going early. But I'm at that age where I'm starting to see even people around my age starting to struggle with their their body, their whatever, their posture, just things coming along. And then you see slightly older people are really struggling to walk. And sometimes, none of that can be helped. But I want to give myself the best chance of still being active when I'm 70.
So do you have a specific goal, or is it just a general, I need to do this because I can just feel the benefit and I'm happy to just do that on a daily basis?
Currently there's no goal.
Yes.
But you'll laugh at this. I have been thinking, do I need to get back into doing something semi-competitive, sort of the high rocks type thing? And the first thing I did was, I looked at some of the local classes and I was like, maybe I need to get myself a bit fitter before I go to the class. And I'm like, no, Matt, that's an excuse. Thinking I need to do something before, because I don't want to turn up and be, the one who finishes last. But actually, what does it matter? You're competing with yourself.
Yeah, that is the biggest, and that's, I guess, what I was trying to get to is that all you people that are listening to this, that go to the gym, and deep down in the deepest part of your heart or your head, you're like, I hate this. I wish there was nothing to stop. Just stop. Don't torture yourself anymore. Go and do something you enjoy. Yeah. Do a sport. Go to a running club. Go just do something that you enjoy. Go cycling. Go walking out on the streets. Most of you will exercise because you're trying to shift a bit of weight, or you're trying to get fit, which means nothing. Getting fit means
get fit for what? Yeah,
it's irrelevant.
Yeah,
you have to focus on that self-care. So go and do something you enjoy, and it doesn't have to be the same thing week after week after week. Go and do 6 months of 5-side football. Go and do high rocks. Go and do anything. Like just go and join the club. Go and do something you enjoy. Ring up some friends and go, do you want to play badminton? And it's all of that. For me, it is purely the mental release. I have a studio at home where I train my clients. I rarely go in there. I look after myself. I eat the right foods. I can still run a decent, 10K. I'm building back up to get to another long race at some point in the future. But I just look after myself, and I know that if I miss a session, I don't beat myself up. It doesn't matter, because it's the moderated approach. You will see me in a pub drinking a pint of beer. You might see me eating a cake. You might see me eating a burger. I don't care. Judge me all you like. I don't care. I know deep down that I'm doing enough, and I'm balanced in my life. I'm balancing my life to tick the head, and that's all. All it is. You're achieving something. How many people have sat there and washed up a load of dishes after dinner, and after it's cleared up, honestly looked at it and gone, I look so much better, glad I did that, or cut the grass, or wash the car, or any of those chores that we all have them. We all live in houses where there's always chores to do. It's the same difference. But don't torture yourself. If you don't want to do it, just do it another time. As long as you do it another time. But there's so much of that. It's almost like you resent yourself. Like, I hate myself because I'm having to go to the gym, and actually I don't enjoy it, and I'd rather not be here, and I'd rather be at home looking at cats getting scared by cucumbers or whatever.
Yeah. I mean, and there is that thing, isn't there, about social media? If I miss a gym session, I probably won't beat myself up about it until I see, almost guaranteed, that I'm going to see 3 other people put on social media that they smashed it at the gym that day. Yeah. And you sort of think, oh, why didn't I go? And so on. So, and social media, there is that thing that we possibly compare our general life with their amazing features that they've put on, and it isn't as
Yeah.
such real life. I've got a big thing about this, that social
Yeah.
media isn't always real life.
There's two lives. There's real life and there's Insta life, as I call it.
Yeah.
And why do we do it? So why do we portray ourselves? And I do it, so I'm guilty too. I'm not preaching to anybody. I'm guilty of all these things. So something good happens in my life, and I need to share that. Okay, why am I sharing it? Is it because I'm genuinely proud of myself and I want to tell everyone else how amazing I am because I've achieved this or I've done this or whatever it is? Or is it that, well, that's what the platform's for, right? Like I occasionally see some people posting up something negative, something's happened in their life, blah, blah, blah. But generally people want to share stuff that's creating a better image of their life or whatever it is. So there's two sides to this. So the negative side is, think about your audience. Think about all the people out there that might not be having as good a time as you. And I'm really aware of this. I sit here, and I've done for many years, talking to people about, I go running, I run 100 miles, and I've been in the sea, and I've got a wonderful family, and me and my wife have been married, and blah, 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 blah. Well, actually, that's not cool, because some people can go, who's this guy? What a douche. Well, seriously, like, check you out with your happy life. Would it be wrong for me to start sitting here now saying, actually, Matt, I think I've got depression and I really struggle with a lot of things, and times have been hard recently, and that's the reality, but it's not very inspiring. It's not the presence I want to give off, is it? So we're kind of trapping ourselves a little bit. We want to portray a positive life, and I'm here talking to you because you've asked me to be here, because hopefully it's inspiring. But we all have a bit of that, and it's okay sometimes to shut it away. But if we just constantly put that on social media, I mean, how many times have you gone to write a post and then you've realised, and I've deleted it, I'm not going to post that. That's wrong. Or I've posted something, woken up the next day and I'm scrolling through and I see the post I put up yesterday. I'm like, oh no, I'm not sure that was the right thing to post. I'm going to delete that. And it's a conscious thing all the time. But all the time we're sitting on our phones, we're watching other people's lives, and we're trying to compete with that. Look at this person. Look, they got off on holiday. Look how amazing their lives are. And there's somebody I think we both know more recently had been away on holiday and posted all those great pictures, great family holiday, blah, blah, blah. And I just messaged him directly and said, mate, it looks like you've had an amazing time. And he went, and Instagram versus reality. He was like, no, it was so stressful. The children were playing up, the wife was stressed, blah, 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 blah. But he wasn't going to put that on Facebook, was he?
No.
So we're kind of trapped, and there's a positive and negative in this. So it forces us to be positive, to create a positive image. And if we're happy posting about stuff like that, and it makes us happy, that's self-care. I'm cool with that.
Yeah.
But there has to be a balance of it, and you have to understand there's people out there that might not be having a good as time as you. So it's important to give both sides of it, and it's okay to then say, well, look, we did this, but this went wrong, or that went wrong, or whatever it is, because it gives people a balance of actually what everyone's lives are. Nobody here is skipping down the road, clicking their heels, going, my life is amazing.
No.
Because it's not. It really isn't.
No, we're always, looking for the next thing, the next exciting thing. But often, and it was a guest I was talking to a couple of weeks ago, almost like the present now is fairly dull and boring. You know, like we've got things we're looking forward to, and we can reminisce about some great bits, but just general life, this morning, I've got up, done the school run, all of these bits. One of the kids was like, no, don't want breakfast. I was like, what do you mean you don't want breakfast? You're going to need something to eat before, but, had an argument with her sister and that was it. No, I'm not coming out my bedroom. I'm like, that's reality of normal life. And it's very easy for me.
Admin.
It's just literally like life admin.
But it's not the same every day, which makes it all right.
No.
So, like you, I'm a parent of two amazing daughters, and they have their quirkiness and their squabbles. Actually, it's the best job in the world.
Yeah,
like literally being a dad. So all the mums out there, I know you have a very different approach to this or opinion. My wife has a much tougher time than I do. She's like, gets them all settled, and then I come in and just create havoc. And like jump on me. She's like, thanks for that. I've had to deal with them for the last 3 hours, and you walk through the door like Superman, everything's all right again. But but what a privilege to be able to, be in that position and do that. And I don't mind if my girls are pissy with each other or whatever it is. I'm cool with that because it's learning. It's another job. It's something
Yeah.
else that you're adding value to your life, and I'm very grateful. And I know there's people out there that probably, in a situation where I haven't got children or tried children or lost children, whatever it is, and that's cool too. I completely empathise with anybody in that situation. But this is my life, and this is me being selfish. I'm going to be really considerate to all those people, but actually, this is my life, and I'm living it because one day I'm going to be at the front of that queue, and it's my time to go. And I want to get to the front of that queue and be quite satisfied that I've achieved everything that I've wanted to achieve or that I've needed to achieve. And it doesn't make me a better person. I'm not a better person at all, but it's my life. I'm here. It's me. And if everybody starts thinking like that, it starts to turn some things around in terms of their ambition, in terms of their motivator, in terms of their drive, in terms of the people they're friends with. If you've got somebody that you're friends with and you're having a tough time with them, sort it out. There will be a reason. Don't judge them. Don't just go, oh, that person's annoyed me. Sort it out. Have a chat with them. I use the whole analogy of take somebody you don't like and get stuck in a lift with them for 3 hours. When they open the doors and let you out, you are bestest friends in the world because you just take the time to invest in each other. And today's society is very much throw away, done with that, move on. What you tell me? What's the average attention rate on a video on a social media?
We're talking seconds. Yeah.
Setting? Yeah.
Yeah.
So how flippant are we in daily life where, I was like the other day, I was in Poole because I've been down to Poole doing a training course for 6 weeks, and this lady in her van had broken down on a roundabout, and it was rush hour, and she had children in the car. How many cars do you think drove around her without helping?
The majority. And I would have thought some of them would have been annoyed at the lady as well.
Yeah, on the horns, get out of the way.
Yeah.
Every single car drove past her apart from me, who stopped. I had somebody else in the car with me, my mate Josh, stopped on a busy roundabout, put my hazard lights on, and said to her, "You've obviously broken down or something's happened." Yeah. I'm like, "Can we help you?" And so we pushed her around the roundabout. I ended up leaving my truck abandoned on the roundabout. I'm like, I said to my friend, any minute now, Laura's going to smash into the back of my truck. That's going to end one day. But we just helped her because people are just, too busy?
Yeah.
What is too busy? You're too busy doing what? Driving to a job that you hate, or you're busy, doing something that means you can't stop and help somebody. And I felt amazing after helping her. She was so grateful. He was really happy that I'd stopped and helped. And that's what it all boils down to, is that we just have to stop doing everything so quickly. I've got to be there. I've got to do this. I haven't got time for this. I haven't got time for you. And things can only get better for you if you're going to behave that way.
I guess, being grateful for what you've got, and then always looking for something that you can do that's going to benefit you. And if it's selfish, then that's fine as well. So, I mean, just to finish off today, what's your, if anyone listens to this thinking, oh, yeah, I know, but I don't know what I want to do, or I'm not very grateful, or my life's a bit, what advice would you give, or what one tip would you give to someone to finish off today?
For everybody watching this, I actually want you to do this. I want you to put your shoes on. If it's raining, which it will be, put a coat on. Go out for an hour's walk and think about your life. Not everybody else's, not but my children need me, and my partner needs me, and my employer needs me. Think about your life. Think about what you've achieved in life up till now in terms of self-care, and then try and change something, one thing going forward, and see what difference that makes. Because the whole conscious unconscious model of you don't know what you don't know, then you know what you don't know, and then you know what you know to the point where then you don't know what you know. That's habit. That's when you go from never done this before, I'm not sure about it, to I do it all the time now, I don't even think about it. That's what you need to do. You need to find something from a self-care point of view. Go out for a walk, have a good think about where you're at. Ask yourself, are you really satisfied with what you're doing in a relationship, in a job, where you live, any of those things? And it's okay to change it, and it's not hard to change it. It just requires a little bit of courage. And we all have that. It's just doing it. And if you can do something, like I know so many people that make people I've coached, they make one small change. They turn up for a session the next time and they're literally skipping down my driveway. Can't wait to tell me, guess what? You're not going to believe what I did. I handed my notice in. I've decided to get a mortgage. I've ended a relationship. I've started a relationship. I've, whatever it is, punch my boss in the face. Not joking.
Yeah.
But you can see that the life in the life in their eyes is lit up, and it's not hard. You just need to have that time. You need to take time out on your own, not with anybody else, on your own. Wander down the seafront or the park, wherever you live, and whilst you're doing that, say hello to at least 3 people. Smile at them and go, hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever it is, and you'll get the same back. And that's where you start. That is the start of the journey. And it's a big ladder. It's a very long ladder, but small steps for a big journey are definitely the best advice I can give anybody else. Don't try and leap. Big steps, small journey doesn't work. Small steps, big journey. And over a period of time, you will change. I'm a very different person to the person I was 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, 20 years ago, and so on and so forth. I'm very much sticking my fingers up all those people in my childhood that made me feel the way I did back then. And, I started off by sort of saying, life is very much a 0-0 score, almost like a 1-0 score to them. It's very much now like a 5-0 score the other way around. I'm achieving more than I ever thought I would, because I just didn't want to feel like that anymore. It was a horrible place to be. Life is a pecking order. There is a hierarchy of characters, and some people will be really over dominant and really confident, but actually they're the people that are struggling deep down. So you just got to work people out, but it's okay to be selfish. Just got to be considerate.
Paul, I absolutely love that. That's a great ending we've had today. Thank you so much for your time. I've really, really appreciated it, and all of your insights. I know. And yeah, hopefully you enjoy the rest of your day.
Yeah, and thanks for having us on. And if people, obviously, I'm not trying to plug my business, because business is kind of where it is now. I'm not really sort of progressing it. But if anybody really is sitting there and they are really struggling and they just want another 5-10 minutes of my time or your time or whatever, just find me. Don't hesitate. I would say I don't need to tell people where to find me, because if you need me that badly, you will find me. Sound like Mary Poppins.
The A-team.
Yeah, exactly. But no, that's what I do, and I hope that today's been useful for anybody out there that's sitting there not quite brave enough to make that next step, or to undertake something that may not feel so comfortable today, but tomorrow it might feel a bit more comfortable.
Paul, thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you for tuning in to this episode of the Balanced Ambition podcast. I genuinely hope the stories inspire you as much as they inspire me. If you found value in today's conversation, please share it with a friend. And remember, by subscribing, you won't miss an episode, and it would truly mean the world to me. Stay balanced, and I'll see you next time.